High Ambassador Kralfax stood at the helm of the Celestial Harmony, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the pale blue glow of Earth's atmosphere. After 3 centuries of observing this developing species, the Galactic Council had finally deemed it necessary to make first contact. Their reason: humans had somehow managed to create stable quantum tunnels using nothing but modified microwave ovens and something they called instant Raman. Most enlightened one, his aide NX-427, materialized beside him, neural pathways flickering with concern. The humans are requesting we land at a location called Comic-Con instead of the designated United Nations facility. Kralfax's secondary breathing chambers constricted. Explain. They say, and I quote, "It would be totally awesome. Plus, we've already sold tickets to your panel." NX-427's holographic form stuttered, struggling to maintain coherence. They've also asked if you'd be willing to judge something called a cosplay contest. The ambassador's crystalline structure vibrated with dismay. In his 1,000 years of diplomatic service, no species had ever greeted a first contact mission with merchandising opportunities. The Council had warned him that humans were unique, but this defied all protocols. "Surely," Kralfax began, "their world leaders understand the gravity of this moment. We are here to evaluate their species for potential membership in the Galactic Alliance." NX-427 projected a holographic feed of Earth's current global communications. Humans were already selling T-shirts with badly drawn representations of their ship. Someone had created a TikTok dance, mimicking their traditional greeting ceremony, and it had gone viral, whatever that meant. "The United Nations Secretary-General has agreed to meet us," NX-427 reported, "but only if we first do something called a Reddit AMA. They say it's crucial for public relations." As they began their descent through Earth's atmosphere, Kralfax noticed something peculiar. Humans had arranged themselves in enormous groups, forming patterns visible from orbit. One spelled out "first," while another had somehow created a giant image of something called a meme. The landing site was equally bewildering. Instead of the expected military cordon and diplomatic reception, they found themselves surrounded by thousands of humans in elaborate costumes, many attempting to recreate alien appearances from their science fiction. The noise level alone violated 3 different Galactic Council safety regulations. Ambassador, a human female in a formal suit, approached, extending her hand in their traditional greeting gesture. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's Sino-Cultural Relations Officer. Welcome to San Diego." Kralfax performed the traditional greeting of his species, a complex series of crystalline resonances. The crowd went wild, several humans shouting, "That's just like in Star Trek," though he had no reference for what that meant. "Most respected Dr. Chen," he began, his universal translator working overtime to maintain diplomatic formality. "We had expected a more conventional reception." Sarah grinned, a gesture that still unnerved him despite months of study. "Oh, this is perfectly conventional for us. We figured, what better way to show you humanity than to demonstrate how we've been imagining and preparing for this moment for centuries. Plus, the merchandise revenue is helping fund our new interstellar relations department." Before Kralfax could process this logic, a small human child approached him, wearing a crude approximation of his crystalline form made from something called cardboard and glitter. "Mr. Alien, sir," the child spoke with admirable confidence, "is it true that your species communicates through bioluminescence? Also, would you sign my petition to make First Contact Day an international holiday? We already have 10 million signatures." The ambassador's diplomatic training had never prepared him for this. Humans weren't just accepting their presence. They were celebrating it with an enthusiasm that bordered on chaos. They had somehow turned a moment of profound historical significance into what they called a fan convention. As Dr. Chen led them through the crowd toward a makeshift diplomatic center, assembled inside something called a convention center, Kralfax observed hundreds of humans engaged in activities that defied explanation. Some were recreating scenes from their fictional encounters with aliens. Others were trading collectible cards featuring artistic interpretations of their ship. And one group was performing something called a flash mob to welcome them. "Your species seems unusually prepared for this moment," Kralfax noted, watching as a human in an elaborate costume posed for something called a selfie with one of his security detail. "Oh, we've been preparing for aliens for ages," Sarah explained enthusiastically. "Science fiction, movies, TV shows. We've been imagining this moment in 1,000 different ways. Though I have to admit, none of our stories featured crystalline diplomatic beings who communicate through quantum-entangled resonance patterns. That's way cooler than anything we came up with." Mix 427's holographic form flickered rapidly, a sign of severe processing strain. "Most enlightened one, I'm detecting over 500,000 social media posts about us in the last 3 minutes alone. Humans are already creating something called fan theories about our civilization, and several human entertainment companies are requesting the rights to our life stories." Kralfax's primary consciousness core throbbed. The Council had expected humans to be overwhelmed, perhaps even frightened by their arrival. Instead, they were treating it like something called a media event, complete with merchandise, entertainment, and something called viral marketing. As they approached the conference room, where Earth's leaders awaited them, Dr. Chen turned with another disarming smile. "Just so you're prepared, Ambassador, we've had to combine the diplomatic reception with a live-streamed press conference, 3 different scientific symposiums, and what I believe is now the world's largest cosplay gathering. We figured, why not make first contact as memorable as possible?" Kralfax's crystalline structure resonated with what his species would consider a psi. He had a feeling his report to the Galactic Council would require several appendices just to explain human concepts like fan conventions and social media influencers. The doors opened to reveal a scene that would have given the Council's entire diplomatic corps collective system failure. Earth's leaders were seated alongside celebrities, scientists, and something called YouTube personalities. The entire wall behind them was covered in screens showing real-time reactions from around the globe, and someone had arranged the chairs in the shape of a popular science fiction spacecraft. "Welcome to Earth," Sarah announced proudly. "We promise this is going to be the most interesting first contact in galactic history." Looking at the organized chaos before him, Kralfax couldn't help but agree. Humans had managed to turn one of the most serious diplomatic events in the galaxy into something uniquely their own. Perhaps, he reflected as someone requested his participation in something called a TikTok dance challenge. That was exactly why the Council needed to pay attention to this species. They weren't just ready for the galaxy. They were ready to transform it in ways no one had imagined possible, even if that transformation came with merchandising opportunities and social media hashtags. 3 days into Earth's first intergalactic conference, Ambassador Kralfax found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about diplomatic relations. His latest report to the Galactic Council sat unfinished, mainly because he couldn't find words to explain how humans had turned serious diplomatic negotiations into something they called a festival of interstellar friendship. Most enlightened one, Mix 427 materialized, its holographic form showing signs of what humans would call exhaustion. "They're requesting your presence at something called a food truck festival before the afternoon session. More sustenance rituals." Kralfax's crystalline structure dimmed slightly. "We don't even consume organic matter." "They say it's not about the food," Mix 427 explained, projecting Dr. Chen's message. "It's about, quote, cultural exchange through the universal language of street tacos." The past 72 hours had been a crash course in human unpredictability. They had somehow transformed the Stark Conference Center into what they call a celebration of humanity. Scientific presentations were being conducted alongside cooking demonstrations. Diplomatic negotiations were punctuated by impromptu musical performances. And somehow, humans had convinced 3 members of his delegation to participate in something called karaoke. "Ambassador," Dr. Chen approached, her energy level seemingly undiminished, despite having slept only 6 hours in the past 3 days. I hope you're ready for today's schedule. We've got the Quantum Physics Symposium this morning, but we've combined it with a dance workshop. Our scientists say they think better when they're moving. Kralfax's universal translator struggled to process this logic. Dr. Chen, the Galactic Council expected formal presentations on human technological achievements, not interpretive dance about particle physics. Oh, but that's exactly why it works. Sarah's eyes lit up with that distinctly human enthusiasm that still unnerved him. Dr. Rodriguez's team made a breakthrough in quantum entanglement theory while doing the cha-cha. Something about the rhythm helped them visualize the particle interactions differently. Before Kralfax could respond, a group of human children ran past, wearing miniature versions of his diplomatic robes. Behind them, a street artist was creating a massive mural depicting the history of human space exploration, somehow incorporating both scientific accuracy and what they called pop culture references. Most enlightened one, Menx 427 interrupted, its circuits practically buzzing with confusion. Humans have started a global trend of creating what they call memes about our diplomatic protocols. Apparently, your crystalline resonance greeting has inspired something called a TikTok challenge, with over 50 million participants. Sarah beamed. The Crystal Vibe Check Challenge. It's helping people understand your communication methods. We've even had physics teachers using it to explain harmonic frequencies to their students. Kralfax observed as humans continued to transform every aspect of this diplomatic mission into something uniquely their own. The formal security barriers had been decorated with artwork from schools worldwide. The antimatter containment fields around their ship had become the backdrop for something called a light show. Even the serious matter of discussing humanity's place in the galactic community had somehow spawned 12 different streaming documentaries, 3 reality shows, and something called a podcast network. Dr. Chen, he began carefully, in my 1,000 years of diplomatic service, I have never encountered a species that approaches interstellar relations quite like humans do. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sarah asked, watching as a group of scientists demonstrated zero-gravity physics concepts through breakdancing. I'm uncertain, Kralfax admitted, his crystalline structure shimming with what might have been amusement. The Council expects detailed reports on your technological capabilities, governmental structures, and readiness for galactic integration. Instead, I find myself trying to explain why humans insist on turning everything, even serious diplomatic negotiations, into what you call a party. Sarah's expression softened. You know, Ambassador, that's exactly why we do it. Look around. In 3 days, you've seen more genuine human interaction and innovation than you would in months of formal meetings. That physicist over there. She pointed to a young woman teaching an alien delegate a hip-hop move. She just solved a problem in her quantum tunnel research because the dance helped her visualize particle movement differently. As if to prove her point, a cheer erupted from one of the workshop areas. A mixed group of humans and alien delegates had apparently made a breakthrough in translating complex emotional concepts across species by using something called interpretive improv theater. Most enlightened one, Menx 427 reported, its holographic form flickering with what could only be described as resignation. Humans have now created an entire social media platform dedicated to documenting interactions between our delegation and their pets. They call it Space Pets, and it has already gained 100 million followers. Kralfax watched as a human child taught one of his junior diplomats how to play a game called hopscotch, while nearby, a renowned astrophysicist explained dark matter theory using elaborate hand puppets. Perhaps, he said slowly, his crystalline resonance patterns shifting to a frequency that indicated deep thought. The Council's traditional methods of evaluation are inadequate for understanding humanity. Your species seems to thrive on what we would consider chaos, finding connections and solutions through methods that defy our logical frameworks. Sarah grinned. Wait until you see what we've planned for tonight's session on interstellar trade agreements. Let's just say it involves something we call improvisational jazz and a live painting demonstration. As they moved toward the afternoon's events, Kralfax realized that his report to the council would need yet another appendix, this one attempting to explain how humans had managed to advance their understanding of the universe, not despite their tendency toward chaos and celebration, but because of it. The sound of laughter and music mixed with serious scientific discussions echoed through the halls, and somewhere in the distance, someone was teaching alien delegates how to do the wave. It was, Kralfax had to admit, perhaps the most effective form of diplomatic relations he had ever encountered, even if it would take his entire crystalline structure years to recover from the sensory overload. "Dr. Chen," he said, watching as humans continued to transform the very concept of first contact into something the galaxy had never seen before, "I believe I'm beginning to understand why the Council found your species so concerning." "Oh," Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You don't just adapt to the universe," he explained, his translator struggling to convey the complexity of his realization. "You make the universe adapt to you, and somehow you make it enjoy the process." The warning came during what humans called a coffee break, a ritual that Ambassador Kralfax had learned involved the mass consumption of a bitter stimulant beverage and something called donut holes. His emergency sensors activated just as Dr. Chen was explaining why humans had created 37 different ways to prepare beans in liquid form. Most enlightened one, Mix 427's holographic form materialized with such urgency that it briefly destabilized. "We're detecting a quantum anomaly in Earth's upper atmosphere. It appears to be. It's unlike anything in our databases." The ambient noise of the conference, the laughter, music, and constant buzz of human activity suddenly seemed very far away. Kralfax's crystalline structure shifted to emergency frequencies. "Explain." "It appears to be a tear in space-time," Mix 427 reported, projecting a holographic display that immediately caught the attention of nearby human scientists. "But the energy signature is impossible. It's as if someone took a bite out of reality itself." Dr. Chen's usual cheerful expression had vanished, replaced by the kind of focused intensity that reminded Kralfax that humans were, despite their peculiarities, a species that had achieved quantum tunneling through sheer determination and creative misuse of kitchen appliances. "Show me the data," she demanded, already pulling out something humans called a tablet. Around them, the conference's festive atmosphere transformed with remarkable speed. Scientists abandoned their karaoke machines for computer terminals. The improvisational dance physics workshop became an emergency think tank. "The anomaly is growing," Mix 427 reported. "At current rates, it will begin affecting Earth's gravitational field within 6 hours. Our models suggest catastrophic planetary effects within 24." Kralfax activated his emergency protocols, preparing to contact the Galactic Council for intervention. But before he could initiate the signal, he noticed something extraordinary happening around him. Humans were organizing themselves with chaotic efficiency. The conference center's main hall had transformed into a command center. The same people who had been teaching his delegation the Macarena hours earlier were now coordinating global response teams through their primitive but surprisingly effective communication networks. "Dr. Rodriguez," Sarah called out to the quantum physicist who had made her breakthrough while dancing. "What if we treat it like that pattern you saw during the cha-cha? The quantum fluctuations look similar to the particle interaction model you developed." The physicist's eyes widened. She grabbed a marker and began drawing directly on the window, using the transparent surface to overlay her calculations with the visible anomaly in the sky. "It's not just similar. It's the same fundamental pattern. The universe is doing some kind of cosmic dance up there, and it's stepping on all our toes." Kralfax watched in amazement as humans approached this potential apocalypse with the same enthusiastic creativity they'd brought to first contact. They were thinking in ways that would never occur to the Galactic Council's finest minds. "Most enlightened one," MEX 427 reported, its circuits struggling to process the speed of human innovation. They're suggesting they want to. Spit it out, Kralfax ordered, using a human phrase he picked up. They want to solve this by throwing a party, MEX 427 finally managed. But not just any party. They want to create a synchronized global dance event that will generate a specific frequency pattern through their quantum tunnel network. That's oversimplifying it. Dr. Rodriguez interrupted, her window now covered in complex equations. We're going to use the quantum tunneling technology that got your attention in the first place, but modify it based on what we learned from your crystalline communication methods. If we can get enough people moving in the right pattern, while channeling the energy through our network of modified microwaves. You want to teach the universe to dance, Kralfax stated flatly, his translator struggling with the concept. Exactly. Sarah beamed. The anomaly is like a break in the universe's rhythm. We're going to get Earth to help us teach it a new step. The next 18 hours defied every protocol in the Galactic Council's extensive databases. Humans worldwide coordinated through social media, learning a specific sequence of movements designed to generate the exact frequencies needed. Quantum physicists worked alongside dance instructors. Engineers modified their tunneling network, while DJs adjusted their beats to match the mathematical requirements. Kralfax found himself in the unprecedented position of explaining to the Council why Earth's salvation apparently required converting his diplomatic vessel's quantum core into something humans called a cosmic sound system. Most Enlightened One, MEX 427 announced as the final preparations were made. Humans are referring to this as the biggest flash mob in history. They've somehow turned a potential extinction-level event into a global dance party with actual scientific applications. The ambassador's crystalline structure resonated with what might have been laughter. Of course they have. That appears to be their response to everything. As the countdown began, Kralfax watched Earth's population move in synchronized chaos. The combined effect of billions of humans dancing, channeled through their jury-rigged network of quantum tunnels and modified kitchen appliances, created something that had never existed before, a planetary-scale resonance pattern that reached out to the cosmic anomaly like an offered hand at a dance. "Look," Dr. Rodriguez shouted, pointing to her screens. "The anomaly is responding. It's matching our pattern." Indeed, the tear in space-time began to shift, its destructive discord gradually aligning with Earth's imposed rhythm. The humans had somehow convinced the universe itself to follow their lead. Most Enlightened One, MEX 427 reported, its voice modulation containing something close to awe. The anomaly is closing. They actually succeeded, through dancing. Not just dancing, Sarah corrected, watching as celebrations erupted worldwide. We succeeded through the application of human creativity to alien technology and universal physics. We just chose to do it in a way that was, fun. Kralfax's crystalline structure hummed thoughtfully as he began composing his report to the Council. How could he explain that humans had not only survived their first major cosmic crisis, but had done so by turning it into a party? More importantly, how could he help the Council understand that this was exactly why humanity needed to be taken seriously? "Dr. Chen," he said finally, watching as humans worldwide continued dancing, even though the crisis was over, "I believe I owe you an apology." "Oh." She looked up from her tablet, where she was already coordinating the publication of their emergency quantum dance physics findings. "When we arrived, I thought your species' tendency to celebrate and transform everything was a sign of immaturity. Now I understand. It's actually your greatest strength. You don't just solve problems. You make solving them into something joyful, communal, and entirely new." Sarah grinned. "Just wait until you see what we've planned for the We Saved Earth from a Cosmic Anomaly after-party. We're calling it Dancing with the Stars. But literally this time." The Galactic Council's emergency session was in its third hour, and Ambassador Kralfax's crystalline structure was beginning to show signs of stress fractures. He stood before the assembled representatives of 5,000 civilizations, attempting to explain how humans had prevented a cosmic catastrophe using dance moves, modified kitchen appliances, and something they called the power of positive vibes. Most esteemed council members, he began, his translator working overtime to maintain diplomatic formality. I understand your concerns. Yes, humans did technically violate 47 different protocols regarding the manipulation of spacetime. However, they used their quantum tunneling network, a network built from primitive food preparation devices, to create a planetary-scale resonance pattern. The Silicon Collective's representative interrupted, their circuits practically sparking with indignation, without filing any of the proper paperwork. Before Krellfax could respond, Dr. Sarah Chen's holographic form materialized beside him. The council had demanded her presence to explain humanity's actions, though they seemed increasingly disturbed by her persistent optimism in the face of their criticism. Actually, Sarah interjected cheerfully, we've prepared a comprehensive report on our methodology. We've even included a section on how to replicate the process using standardized galactic technology, though honestly, the modified microwaves work better. Something about the chaos energy from years of reheating coffee, we think. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests, warnings, and what sounded like several prophecies of doom. Krellfax noticed that MX-427, still stationed on Earth, was transmitting updates about humans already adapting their crisis solution into something called a new dance fitness trend. Order. The High Chancellor's psychic resonance cut through the chaos. Dr. Chen, your species has demonstrated an alarming tendency to improvise with fundamental forces of the universe. This cannot continue. Why not? Sarah asked, with that particularly human blend of genuine curiosity and subtle challenge. Our improvisational approach just saved not only our planet, but potentially others in our galactic sector. We've already received thank you messages from 3 different civilizations that were experiencing similar quantum anomalies. Apparently, our cosmic Che-Che solution works on multiple types of space-time disruptions. The Council's collective consciousness rippled with disturbance. Krellfax watched as his fellow diplomats struggled to process how humans had managed to turn their emergency response into an exportable solution, complete with what they called an easy-to-follow tutorial video series. Most enlightened ones, MX-427's transmission cut in. I feel compelled to report that humans have now established what they call the Interstellar Dance Physics Institute. They're combining traditional quantum mechanics with choreography, and they're actually making significant breakthroughs in understanding cosmic string theory. The Silicon Collective's representative circuits nearly overloaded. They're what? Oh yeah, Sarah beamed, pulling up a holographic display of the Institute's latest findings. Turns out, a lot of complex quantum interactions make more sense when you look at them as dance patterns. Dr. Rodriguez is leading a team that's translating quantum entanglement principles into ballet. They're calling it Swan Lake Theory. Krellfax watched as the council attempted to maintain its dignified opposition while being presented with undeniable evidence that humans had stumbled upon an entirely new way of understanding universal constants. The fact that they had done so while creating viral social media content and planning a series of quantum raves seemed to particularly disturb the more traditional members. Furthermore, Sarah continued, seemingly oblivious to the growing existential crisis she was causing among the galaxy's most august governing body. We've adapted the emergency quantum tunneling network into what we're calling the cosmic connectivity grid. It's a combination of communication system, physics research tool, and, well, technically also the world's largest synchronized dance platform. You cannot simply repurpose reality-altering technology for entertainment, one of the council members protested. Why not? Sarah countered. The entertainment aspect is what makes people want to participate, which gives us more data, which leads to better understanding. We've made more progress in quantum physics in the last week than in the previous decade, all because we made it fun. Kralfax's crystalline structure hummed with what his species would consider amusement as he watched the Council's reaction. Humans hadn't just solved a crisis, they had turned their solution into a new field of scientific study, a global entertainment phenomenon, and a potential revolution in how the galaxy understood quantum physics. Dr. Chen, the High Chancellor, spoke finally, their psychic resonance carrying tones of both concern and curiosity. Your species seems to have no concept of the traditional boundaries between crisis management, scientific research, and recreational activities. Thank you, Sarah replied brightly, clearly taking it as a compliment. We find that artificial boundaries often just get in the way of good ideas. Why can't saving the universe be fun? Why can't entertainment advance science? Why can't we dance our way to a better understanding of quantum mechanics? The council chamber fell silent as members processed this fundamentally human perspective. Kralfax noticed that several younger representatives were secretly accessing Earth's new quantum dance tutorial series through their neural links. Most enlightened ones, Menx 427's transmission interrupted again. Humans have now successfully used their dance-based quantum manipulation technique to stabilize a failing star in the Carina sector. They're calling it Operation Disco Inferno. Stayin' alive. They named a critical stellar stabilization operation after Earth dance music, Kralfax translated for the confused council members. And yes, it worked perfectly. They've already scheduled a celebration party. The High Chancellor's psychic resonance flickered with what might have been the first signs of acceptance. Perhaps we need to reconsider our traditional approaches to universal constants. Excellent idea, Sarah agreed enthusiastically. We're hosting a workshop next week on applying improvisational jazz principles to dark matter research. Everyone's invited. We're calling it the Dark Side of the Moon Sessions. As the council descended into animated debate about the implications of human scientific methods, Kralfax realized that humanity hadn't just solved one crisis. They had fundamentally changed how an entire galaxy would approach problem solving. Whether the council was ready for it or not, the universe was about to learn how to dance. One standard galactic year after first contact, Ambassador Kralfax stood before the Galactic Council to deliver his final report on humanity. His crystalline structure had developed what his medical specialists called permanent resonance variations from extended exposure to human culture. Some frequencies even matched what humans called swing jazz. Most esteemed council members, he began, I stand before you today to recommend not only humanity's immediate acceptance into the Galactic Alliance, but also a complete revision of our understanding of civilization advancement itself. The council chamber, once a model of austere dignity, had undergone subtle but significant changes over the past year. Several members had installed what humans called mood lighting. The Silicon Collective's representative had developed an appreciation for Earth classical rock. Even the High Chancellor had been caught accessing human cat videos during recent sessions. In the past year, Kralfax continued, humanity has revolutionized quantum physics through interpretive dance, established an interstellar communication network using modified kitchen appliances, and solved 3 major cosmic anomalies with what they call good vibes and sick beats. But more importantly, they've taught us something we didn't know we needed to learn. He gestured to his aide, and MX-427 materialized, its holographic form now capable of executing a perfect moonwalk. The display screens activated, showing scenes from the past year. The Quantum Dance Physics Institute's breakthrough on dark matter composition, achieved during a rave in CERN's particle accelerator. The first successful diplomatic summit conducted entirely through what humans called jam sessions, the galaxy's first interspecies flash mob, which accidentally solved the 1,000-year-old mathematical paradox. Humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization, Kralfax explained, isn't their technology, their sciences, or even their remarkable ability to turn cosmic disasters into dance parties. It's their fundamental understanding that progress doesn't have to be serious to be significant. Dr. Sarah Chen's holographic form appeared next to him, now sporting the official title of Galactic Minister of Quantum Groove. Humans had insisted on the title, and somehow it had stuck. "We've prepared a demonstration," she announced cheerfully, "with the Council's permission." Before anyone could object, the chamber's quantum field harmonizers began pulsing with a rhythm that several council members recognized as funk. The holographic displays showed real-time data from across the galaxy, thousands of civilizations participating in what humans had termed the Universal Understanding Project. "As you can see," Sarah explained, gesturing to the displays, "we've mapped the fundamental frequencies of the universe, not through traditional observation, but by getting the galaxy to dance together. Turns out, reality itself has a rhythm. We just had to be willing to join the party." Kralfax watched as the council members, despite their initial reservations, found themselves swaying to the cosmic beat. The Silicon Collective's representative had even developed a subroutine specifically for processing what humans called groove. "Humanity's influence on galactic society has been," he paused, searching for the right words, "unprecedented. The number of scientific breakthroughs has increased by 300% since we started incorporating their methodologies. Diplomatic incidents have decreased by 85% since the introduction of what they call chill vibes to negotiations. Even the quantum anomaly early warning system now includes a feature that analyzes whether disturbances in spacetime are, in their words, just the universe trying to breakdance." The High Chancellor's psychic resonance carried tones of amused acceptance. "We must admit, Ambassador, that our initial concerns about human chaos have proven unnecessary, though we still question the necessity of what they call disco balls in quantum research facilities. The disco balls are crucial to maintaining proper particle visualization ambience," Sarah interjected seriously, before breaking into a grin. "Plus, they look awesome during breakthrough celebrations." Mix 427 projected the latest statistics. Hundreds of new cross-species research initiatives, all incorporating human methodologies. The Rigelian Physics Institute had recently published a paper on gravitational wave patterns titled "Stayin' Alive," a mathematical analysis of universal rhythm. The Andromeda Science Academy had established a department of quantum choreography. Most importantly, Kralfax concluded, his crystalline structure resonating with frequencies that would have scandalized him a year ago. "Humanity has taught us that the universe itself isn't the rigid, serious place we thought it was. It dances, it plays, it creates. We just needed someone to show us how to join in." The council chamber, once a place of solemn deliberation, had transformed. The quantum field harmonizers pulsed with Earth music, creating patterns that perfectly matched newly discovered universal constants. Junior diplomats were attempting to teach their elders something called the robot. Even the most conservative council members found themselves tapping to rhythms that seemed to echo the very heartbeat of the cosmos. Therefore, Kralfax announced, his translator barely keeping up with his enthusiasm, "I formally move to accept humanity into the Galactic Alliance, with a special designation as our teachers in the art of universal joy." Seconded, called out the Silicon Collective's representative, who had somehow learned to beatbox. The vote was unanimous, accompanied by what humans would call a standing ovation, though several species had to create new appendages specifically for the purpose of clapping. As the celebration began, humans had insisted on planning it in advance, complete with what they called a killer playlist. Kralfax turned to Sarah. "Dr. Chen, when I first arrived on Earth, I thought your species' tendency to turn everything into a celebration was a sign of immaturity. And now?" she asked, watching as ancient, dignified beings attempted to do the wave across the council chamber. "Now I understand that it might be the most mature approach of all. You saw a universe full of endless possibilities and decided it should be explored with joy. You looked at the fundamental forces of reality and thought, this needs a better beat. And somehow, impossibly, you were right." Sarah smiled as the chamber filled with music, both Earth's and new compositions from across the galaxy, blending into something entirely new. "You know what the best part is, Ambassador. What's that? This is just the beginning. Wait until you see what happens when we introduce the galaxy to karaoke. Kralfax's crystalline structure chimed with genuine laughter as he watched the Galactic Council, 5,000 civilizations strong, learning to dance like nobody was watching. Except, of course, for the billions of beings watching the live stream across the quantum network, all moving to the same universal beat. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, as humans would say, was absolutely fantastic.